Hi guys, welcome to the third episode of Score Couch, where we talk about digital software development, DevOps, backend, front-end, UX, UI design, you name it. Today with me is Kamil. Kamil, why don't you tell us a little something about yourself?
Sure. Hi guys, so my name is Kamil, I'm 25. I'm mostly iOS developer in Score, but I am doing the Android stuff as well. And also I'm responsible for the project right now, so I have 4 people in the project, so I am team lead there.
Okay, so that's quite something for
Yes,
25
yes.
years old, but okay. Okay, so you are a mobile developer, right?
Right.
Okay. So what is mobile development? How does it differ from web, backend,
Okay. So mobile, I would say that the mobile is something that we are using all of the time.
Okay.
So those are the apps that we see, that we are clicking on. So this is the visual stuff, the visual representation of something. And comparing it to the backend is something that is in the background. The user doesn't see that. So this is the mobile stuff, yeah. So the interaction with the user, those kind of stuff.
Okay. So at some point in your probably early stages in career,
Yeah.
you chose to be a
Yes.
mobile developer. Why? How did that happen?
Yeah, so
Tell us the story.
that is funny story, because I wanted to be a web developer at first place.
Okay.
So I was learning HTML, CSS, and trying to implement so simple websites, but it didn't work for me very well. So then I started studying. I bought my first MacBook, and I would say that by mistake I went to one of the mobile courses, because
Okay.
that was not my plan.
Okay.
And I saw that the presentation is about Swift mostly, and iOS development. And one of the students from there showed that how to build simple app, how to add the view there, how to add the label, how to interact with the user with the buttons. And I thought like,
This
that's
seems
really interesting. Yes. Later when I went home, I decided that don't give a shot, like trying to do this. So I bought first Udemy course and
it started.
it started. Yeah.
But this is actually, I would like to get into this. So, because I am totally, technology ogre when it comes to technical stuff, you know that.
Yes.
But, for me, at least, it seems that web and the HTML, CSS, it seems simpler than Swift, right? Or am I wrong? So it hasn't clicked for you. Why do you think? The logic is different, the approach is different, the philosophy is different. What's different?
The philosophy is maybe different, because like the CSS styles didn't work for me, like separating this into the different files, that wasn't ideal for me. Also adding the logic like JavaScript, the language, this is also that doesn't, like, I don't feel confident with JavaScript. Like, this is not something that I liked.
Okay.
And comparing this to the Swift, for example, I liked how the visual representation is. Like, you are seeing the simulator, you can interact with that. It gives you the response. So that worked better for me. Like, I didn't have to set up the local host, like everything like that. It just works. You open the environment, you are doing your stuff, opening the simulator, and it's working.
Okay.
So
besides the details about each technology, you can say that it was just a feeling. So you didn't feel it.
Yes, correct. Yes. So
Okay.
I saw the presentation, and I feel inside that this is something that I would like to try, and I really enjoyed that, and I feel really great here.
Okay. So iOS, iPhone, lovely devices for me, as you know.
Yes.
And how do you, can you share some, I don't know, interesting experiences or anything, worth mentioning about, what was in iOS development that you found very interesting, that you felt, just triggered to do more, to jump into deeper into the waters?
So maybe I will start first before I get my first job. So I was developing like a copy of FilmWeb, on the mobile. So I connect to some movie API, and then organize the list, the videos, the titles, the authors there, everything like that.
So FilmWeb, like this service for that you can
for
rate movies and so on.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So looking the ratings, everything like that, watching the videos, so everything like that. That was like my first project. And later, when I get my first job, I think that interesting project was for me when I was working on the geolocation. So we had the application that was basically, I can say like this was a gamification app. So you could join to the event that was in real. And this event had a couple of steps. So imagine that the first step is, I don't know, on Kazimierz, and the second one is near to Vistula River, yeah? Okay. And in order to get the second point, you have to first go to the Kazimierz. We were triggering you that, okay, you are in this zone, so you can solve the quiz. And later, when you solve the quiz, you could go later, you could go to another place. And then we were also tracking where you are right now. And you are near the zone, we were showing you that, okay, you can start the next quiz. So that was really tricky part to all of the time track the user location and check if he is in the particular zone that was connected to this game.
Okay, so I assume that there was no beacons there. It was just Google API, or
no. We were using the Blue Dot API, so that is something different. So you are marking the zone. And the API gives you the details where you are and if it's inside the zone or no.
Okay, so user was getting a push notification.
Yes.
You can get
you can
new points. Yeah, you can
yes.
solve your next quiz. That seems interesting. Any other interesting examples?
I think that I can give some more technical stuff here. So we were implementing the really complex synchronization mechanism with fully offline support mode for the mobile. So basically, the app was about stock market and stock investing. Okay. So we had to download all of the historical data from the server, store it on the offline. And then all of those data, we had to move through the complex math algorithm. Okay. And the results, what the user saw is that what kind of stock he should invest in this particular range. And every kind of data was visible on the charts, like a different kind of charts, like pie chart, bar chart, whatever.
Okay, so data, interesting. So question to this app, why offline?
Why offline?
Yeah. Because wouldn't it be simpler to just put it somewhere on AWS?
It was impossible because synchronizing the data took almost 20 minutes.
Okay.
First, so imagine that you are turning off the app and there is no data.
Okay.
So, that was the main reason.
Okay, that's interesting. So the recommendations for stock market. Any other, let's say more, because that's technical. Let's say something more visual for the users.
I have it also in my experience. So I was integrating AR content to the mobile app.
So Pokemon, or not
this one. So imagine that you have a cup and you could purchase it somewhere. So we were building the app that someone get this, have a barcode, enter the barcode into the app, and it adds you the additional elements. So
features.
Additional features, right. So when you turn on the camera and look on your cup, the main character that was on the card showed up from the cup or whatever. Like there was a custom different actions, but the AR itself was integrated in the Unity at first place, and later it was exported as an Xcode project. So in order to add this to the main iOS project, and that was really hard to do because we were doing this a couple of years ago and there was no information how to actually do it because it was a new stuff. But we did this and we had to write a custom bridges to communicate between the main app and the Unity app. Okay. So that was really interesting. And
so the animations itself were somewhat different, right? That's the Unity part. I mean,
yes,
like the characters.
The Unity were everything about the AR characters.
Okay.
Yeah, and the rest, like communicating when to show what, was by the bridge that we built.
Okay.
So the Unity knew what exactly on which step it should show.
Okay, that also seems pretty interesting. Okay, so that's iOS, but at the very beginning we said that you are a mobile developer. So I think we're approaching the very interesting part. So I know that you have been working with different technologies also.
Right. So I touched Android and I'm working there almost a year. So that is interesting journey. So at first it had to be like go there, do some stuff, maintain the app, and it should be like a weeks. But later I decided that why not to try doing more, yeah? Because it was interesting for me, everything was new. And it's good that in one technology you understand the things and you are going to the second one and the thing should, like you know what to want to build. And in iOS you would do that in that way, but in Android, like how to do that? Like it's too hard for me, and everything was a challenge there. Yeah.
So it's a completely different world.
Yes.
Not only from the user perspective, but also from the developer.
Yes, but I was doing this, and I am also right now. I'm doing this in the Kotlin. So the Kotlin is very similar to Swift. So I would say that the transition from Swift to Kotlin, and I think in the other way, it's okay. But the main stuff is to handle the API, handle the SDK, like everything like that, and know what to use on which step. Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to compare, for example, like you have significant experience in iOS development and Android development, what's more, I don't know, developer friendly, let's say?
I think that iOS.
Okay.
It's more developer friendly for some reasons. On Android, there are bugs in Android Studio that for unknown reason they happens, and it's hard to debug what is actually going wrong, and what is working is actually turn off the computer and turn on again.
Okay. but classic.
Yeah, it's the classic stuff. But sometimes you don't know it, and you are spending time. And it's not good. Also, I think that in terms of organizing the screens itself, the iOS is better because an example, if you want to build the app that can rotate, so be in portrait and landscape mode, in iOS it just works. So you are rotating the screens and the screen stays with the data that was before. But on Android, when you are rotating the screen, it destroys the screen that was before and rebuilds it from the scratch. So if you don't store the data before, the data is lost.
Okay.
So you have to keep it and then apply it after the screen rotates on the particular action.
So it sounds to me that like the Android development is a little bit more messy than iOS.
Yes.
Disorganized, it seems. Okay.
Yes.
What was the most challenging part with starting the Android? The things that you've mentioned, so figuring out that you need to restart the computer?
Yes, kind of. And also, like, I think that the project itself, because it was a project that I was also working on iOS, so that was a huge project. And entering then looking on the different approaches, for example, a repository pattern that was used there, the architecture MVVM that was used there, that was different, and that was of course challenging. A stupid example could be doing a table view, so the list that is scrolling, and in iOS it's a couple of lines of code. In Android it's a pain, really,
it's a pain
to organize it, and also add the actions later. So when someone taps on it or make the swipe gesture, this is something that is not super handled by Android team.
It's not out of the box.
Yes.
Okay, so another question. If you were to compare, that probably depends on the experience, and you were new to Android. But if you were to compare, is development time for certain features longer for Android and for Kotlin than for iOS, or it just depends?
I wouldn't say so. It totally depends. Like, my impression was exactly as yours. On Android, it takes more time to develop the feature, and I thought that until I went there and built the features. So it may take a little more time, but I wouldn't say that the amount of time is significant.
Okay, so it's just a bit different and you have to get used to it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's Android. Okay, how about different experiences? I know you have been working with Flutter lately.
Yes. So the Flutter is something that I'm working for half of a year or kind of more. I really enjoyed that technology. For sure, I enjoyed the UI, how the UI is built, because everything in Flutter is a widget. So it's the same type of the view, actually. So it's really good that you can put the view whatever you want because it's on the same type. So this is good. Also, the Flutter team, I think that they prepared the stuff that were not properly handled on native environments. So, for example, we can have a text area, and the text area should grow when you add a new line. Yeah, so there is a animation.
Yeah, the window get extended.
Yes, and it get extended. So I remember that on iOS, I wanted to implement that, and it was again pain because you have to make the constraint bigger, so changing the height, everything like that. So it's a lot of work. In Flutter, for me, it was only 2 lines of code. So there is a property minimum lines and maximum lines, and it grows automatically for you. Okay. So when I was looking on it, why now? Why not before? Like, it's so simple to do, and no, like the native teams are not covering that. Yeah.
Okay. This is interesting because from my perspective, so someone with as a vanilla user, how do you how does it work underneath? Because Flutter is a technology that you can push to both platforms, right? So if you say that this is a pain on Android and this is pain or not pain on iOS, whatever, and in Flutter you just need to put 2 parameters that are just triggering the action. How does it work from a point of view of it talks to Android and automatically
because the Flutter app has inside the 2 projects, the iOS project and the Android project. So it is a wrapper which communicates with the native code. So the widgets are a wrapper to communicate with native code.
So if I get it right, so the Flutter part handles the communication with both systems, right? Both platforms.
Yes.
So if you put the parameter, they are somewhere underneath, they covered this particular
Yes, also
part.
you can add some if statements. So if this platform is Android, do that. If this platform is iOS, do that. So you can also maintain the differences on the platforms. Like use the different styles or whatever.
So you can differentiate also the user experience within that.
Yes.
Okay.
So to be more Android or to be more iOS. Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything challenging while entering the Flutter? Because on Android you said that it was like, ooh, that's pain, right?
I think that in the Flutter the main, I wouldn't say pain, but the main difference was the language, because the Flutter uses the Dart language. So it's not similar to Kotlin or Swift. So that was a little bit challenging. Also the architecture itself, because in Flutter you have a possibility to add a stateless or stateful widget, and the stateless widget can't interact with the user. So it shows only the view, but when you press on the button you are not allowed to refresh the view. So I don't know, make the animation or whatever. So you can use the stateful widget. But if you use the stateful widget, it turns out that it rebuilds the whole screen. So it's not ideal, because you would like to change only the label. So that's why there are architectures that support it. For example, provider or block pattern. So I was working on block pattern. So you can actually mark what kind of part you want to refresh after what action. So the block works like there is an event. The event is changed to a state. And the state is back to the screen, and you can refresh whatever you want. So that was challenging to organize this block stuff, the states. But later, I think that it have more pros than cons. Yeah.
Okay, so if you were now to pick native versus Flutter, if you let's say that you have something to do, like a feature or set of features, and it doesn't depend on the technology choice, doesn't depend on the complexity of the features. You can pick your technology.
So I would choose Flutter.
Okay.
Yeah. So if there is no complex stuff, like I don't know, custom camera features, whatever, I would choose Flutter.
Because it's just more straightforward.
Yes, and there are components that actually you don't have to waste time on building a components that they should be like just like that. Because let's say 80% of the apps they looks the same. So there is no custom components, there is no custom logic. You just need a component that supports that way. For example, I have last time as I was building a slider, and in the slider sometimes it shows you the pop-up, the tooltip on top, which shows you the value which is on slider. Yeah. So again, building this on iOS or Android, it's not easy. But in Flutter, you have a label parameter, and you are adding what do you want what show based on the value that is on slider. So
okay, so it's just okay. So you don't have to think as much, right?
Yes.
It's just there
because the components are there. So like for me, I see the difference when I was spending time to building something, and here it's so easy.
Do you think that Flutter is ready as a technology? I mean, do you think it's mature enough to build their more complex stuff?
It depends what kind of complexity we are talking about. Okay. But I think that the app, like, I believe that most of the app are not using the custom camera, the background notifications, whatever. So there is, I don't know, a chat with the push notifications, so you can build this really simple with the Flutter. So it's not like it's not prepared for that. But the hardest part will be if you have to build something custom. So, but there is a possibility to write a native code, which will adds you to this Flutter app.
Okay, so there's always a way.
Also possible, yeah.
Yeah, especially for someone like you who did
Yes.
all of that, all of that
yeah.
at some point in time. Okay, do you think like that's a different kind of question, but do you think that technologies like Flutter, for example, will take over the native eventually, or not a chance?
I wouldn't say that it will change it because in iOS the Apple works on the new framework Swift UI, so it looks promising, and also it allows you to build the app for Mac OS, for iPad OS, so different kind of systems. So I think that the Apple will cover that. Like
okay,
they will survive. But in terms of Kotlin and Android, I think that maybe Flutter will be the way to go. Like
okay.
even building the
future.
apps. Like even if you want to build only an Android app, maybe maybe it should be built in Flutter, because later, if someone wants to add the iOS, it will not require building it totally from scratch. And also I have a feeling that the Flutter team is more, like they are more support the Android rather than iOS, of course. Yeah, because it's from Google, so.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so we've covered Flutter, we've covered iOS, we've covered Android. Let's talk about, back-end experience of a mobile developer, or more precisely, what kind of architectures have you used so far? What have you experienced? How this? Do you have any experiences that you can share?
So basically, the backend architectures. This is something that I was working only with the APIs or whatever, but I can say more about the architectures that I was using in the mobile.
Yeah, sure.
So I started with MVC, Model View Controller. So this is something that I think everyone knows. I don't know if you know.
I have no idea, but please go on.
Yeah, but this is something that we resigned quickly, and we jumped to the Clean Swift architecture on iOS. So that is, I think, that one of the best architectures. It splits up the components really good. So you have separated business logic, presentation logic, navigation logic, and it's like inside one scene, inside one page. So there is a concept of the scene as a page in this Clean Swift. On Android, I was using MVVM. So I liked the stuff that is working on Android because you could connect the view with the property in the code. So imagine that you are having a label, and you are changing only the code, and the view automatically refresh. So that was something that was super good for me, that they are working in that way. And in the Flutter, as I mentioned, that I was using the block pattern.
Okay, so more simple question: how does those architectures differ from each other? I mean, like developer experience-wise. But I know it's probably a hard question, but you know, what are the differences between them?
What are the differences between?
You don't have to jump into detail, but in general, you know, I'm you know, as a someone from the outside of technical world, let's say, I would like to understand, you know, why do you choose this over that, or if you jump from this to that, what's different for you?
Okay, so having an MVC on iOS, it's at the end it turns out that everything is in the view controller, so the networking logic, everything like that is in one place. So
Okay.
later the code the file can have, I don't know, 500 lines or 1000 line, yeah. And using Clean Swift, it separates the logic. So you are having in your controller, let's say, only an action. So someone clicked on it and it communicates with totally a different layer. And this different layer say, okay, so on this action we have this logic. So based on that logic, we are going to the presenter, and the presenter says, okay, so I have this output, I have this result, so I will give you the output. So this is something that is, I would say, separated, and also later when you want to scale the project, it really helps, because we have this concept on scenes, so you can add more scenes and it will still work. So there is no mess in the code, there is no mess in the files, in the project structure, everything just works.
Okay. So probably this question will be to some extent answered, but do you have a favorite architecture that you like to work with, or?
Yes. So in Swift, for sure, Clean Swift, but I think that will have to change when we will go to the Swift UI, because it will be hard to do this, because it changes the way how the screens are worked. But I also like the block architecture in Flutter. It works for me, like those concept of events, of the states, changing this. I like that.
Okay. Okay, so a different kind of question, you know, because I think we are slowly approaching, you know, the finish of our interview. But do you have any suggestions or recommendations for people that would like to either transit from, for example, web developer to mobile developer, or someone who would like to start? You know, any advices or any tips?
My experience with web developers going to mobile is that they are choosing the React Native.
Okay.
So they are not going
your favorite technology.
Yes. But this is the true, because it's simpler for them. They are used to JavaScript, maybe React. So why not to go to the mobile? It's they have to to learn only the SDK, the libraries. So the transition, I think it's smooth. But for the new people, I would recommend Flutter. But Flutter requires some knowledge about the native. So at the end, you will have to go to the native, understand the concepts there. So
at the end or at the beginning? For example, I would like to start, you know, software development.
Yeah, so I would recommend you to go to the Flutter.
Okay.
Because later, when you will go to the deeper and deeper into the code, okay, so we will have the output, but the curiosity will be, how is it working?
Okay.
What is inside? So we will go to the native.
So it's actually a good way to start mobile development, because you are learning, let's say, the basics, and then when you need some details, you can jump further when you go to more complex features, for example. Okay. Okay. Any final remarks or any final thoughts that you would like to share? Besides, let it score.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Kamil, thank you for being here at Score Couch today, sharing your perspective. I hope that we'll have time to talk more in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. That was Score Couch episode 3. We all encourage you to comment, you know, to let us know what do you think, to tell us what should we cover in the next episodes. if you see us on YouTube, hit subscribe. That will help us to grow audience furthermore. And see you on the next episodes. Thanks.